Welcome back to Money, Markets, and Business Explained. We're going to talk about President Trump's administration's tariffs against businesses in Mexico. They're going to take effect on March 4th and going forth. Please hit the like button and also hit the subscribe button as well. I really appreciate it, and it helps me to bring you and others more of these videos. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, today, let's see, we're going to show you what Trump said on his Twitter that he loves to go to. He should go to his own true streaming postings more often, but hey, he has staff. And this is, I've implemented a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and Canada, but 10% on Canadian energy and 10% on tariffs from China. We use an IEEPA, it's an act, International Emergency Economic Powers Act, because of all the illegal aliens they shipped in here. Especially Mexico. Mexico and Canada have been pretty much like enemies, especially in Mexico. Entered deadly drugs and gangs affecting American citizens, and they're fent, meth, heroin, just awful. So he's doing this to protect American citizens, and he's just trying to live up to his campaign promise to stop the flood of illegals, kick them out, deport them, and keep the drugs from pouring in, which has pretty much killed, from what I've heard, between 400 and 500,000 Americans since 2017. So that's a lot. That's like 8 years. Before we go into them, here's a list of the companies that are going to be the most impacted. These are the top 10. And at the bottom with the industrial pinole, there's like 3 or 4 that are kind of equal to them. But we're going to start at the top. Ruma, which is food and agriculture. NEMAC, automotive parts. Grupo Bimbo, food and beverage. Alpec, chemicals and plastics. Kuo Group, industrial and consumer. FEMSA, beverages and retail. CEMEX or Chemex, construction materials. Arca, continental, beverages. And America Mobile, which is telecom, and Industrias Pinyolas, which is mining. And on the other column, you can see the revenue that they generate that's going to get impacted, and a percentage of that revenue that they make from the U.S. So we have Ruma, which is a food and agricultural company, the world's largest tortilla producer, operating brands like Mission and Guerrero, with a dominant U.S. market for corn and flour tortillas. Tariffs could affect it, estimated $3.5 billion revenue, with 65 to 70% from the U.S. They have Mission Foods, Maseca, and they dominate the U.S. tortilla market. Problem with Ruma is they also are starting to put ground up bugs in their food as per Bill Gates' recommendation. So I don't eat Mission tortillas. I'm not a really big fan of Mexican food in general from Mexico, but they're going to get what they deserve with the tariffs. In the background you see that flag, where that's a Mexican flag. That's because they're protesting big time against America over there right now, instead of simply just trying to negotiate. Here we have NEMAC. They're an automotive parts company. They're a subsidiary of Alpha. There's like 2 or 3 of them here. They're subsidiaries of Alpha. There's Alpec, and I think there's another guy. They specialize in manufacturing aluminum components for automotive industry, supplying major U.S. automakers like Ford, GM, and Stellantis. Tariffs could impact their estimated $3 billion revenue, with 65 to 70% from the U.S. So it'll hurt them, but it'll slightly hurt U.S. autos makers, but they'll have to find alternatives, and so it'll help them. So we'll see. Grupo Bimbo, food and beverage. Grupo Bimbo is the world's largest baking company, producing bread, snacks, and confectionaries under brands like Bimbo, which is a Mexican brand, as Sara Lee, which does cakes and cookies and pies and stuff, Oral Wheat, which is just bread, and Thomas's, which is English muffins. It has a strong U.S. market presence. Tariffs could impact its estimated $4.8 billion revenue, with 50% of that coming from U.S. Grupo Bimbo, they bought out Twinkies years ago, and they kept it at first. And then, like within months, you start the Twinkies never been no great food, obviously. Come on, but you saw the quality go down. It went from yellow to dark yellow to light yellow, and they tried to change the paste in it or whatever, the cream, and it was too sweet, too this, too that, and too oily. Typical of Mexico. That's what they do when they get your products. Screw it up. Alpec, a chemicals and plastics company, like I said, they're a subsidiary of Alpha. That's the umbrella company. Produces polyester, PET resins, and other chemicals used in U.S. manufacturing, particularly in packaging and textiles. Tariffs could affect their estimated $2.8 billion revenue, with 50% of that coming from the U.S. Kuo Group, they're an industrial and consumer company. They operate in diverse sectors, exporting auto parts, food products like pork, and chemicals to the U.S. It has a growing presence in U.S. industrial and consumer markets. They're Korean, by the way, just so you know. That's what the name Kuo is. Tariffs could impact its estimated $2.2 billion revenue, with 40 to 50% of their revenue coming from America. You have FEMSA, another beverage and retail company. They operate Coca-Cola FEMSA, which is the largest Coca-Cola bottler in Latin America, and they run OXXO convenience stores. I've never seen those because I don't go to Latin America, but I guess they're thriving. Has significant U.S. beverage and retail operations as well. Tariffs could affect its estimated $4.5 billion revenue, with 30 to 40% of the revenue from the U.S. Coca-Cola bottling and OXXO expansion, or OXXO. Cemex, or Chemex, CEMEX. They're a construction materials company. They're a global leader in cement, ready-mix concrete, and aggregates, with substantial operations in the U.S. construction sector. They supply materials for infrastructure and housing projects as well. And tariffs are going to affect their $5.2 billion revenue, with 30 to 35% coming from the U.S. They're a large cement exporter to the U.S. There's another one called Pemex too. Arca Continental, another beverages company. You're starting to see the trend there with Mexico, right? They're a major Coca-Cola bottler, producing and distributing beverages across Mexico and the U.S. And they own snack brands like Wise and Bocado. I think Wise is kind of like a granola and nuts or something. And the tariff's going to hit their $3.8 billion revenue. 30% of that comes from the U.S. América Móvil, they're a telecommunications company, and they're Latin America's largest telecom company, providing wireless, fixed line broadband services under the brands like Telcel and Claro. They have a significant U.S. presence through their subsidiary TracFone. Those little phones when you have an Android phone, you buy them and you add minutes to them. I have one. Tariffs could impact their estimated $8.5 billion revenue, with 25 to 30% coming from the U.S. from TracFone and subsidiaries. And you'll notice that with certain Latin companies that provide big servers, they're the largest, or only, because Latin America is pretty much a narrow-minded market, and they don't allow a lot of competition. So the quality kind of goes down as well sometimes. Industrias Peñolas. They're a mining company. Industrias Peñolas is a major producer of silver, gold, and other metals with substantial U.S. exports. They operate in the chemical sector as well. And it's going to impact their $2.5 billion revenue, with 25 to 30% of their revenue coming from the U.S.